Hello, and welcome to the Savvy Safety Sisters Partner in Prevention podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Pascarella with Global Secure Resources. Now, one of the most powerful ways we can reduce risk and prevent harm is by sharing real stories from around the world, stories that educate, inspire, and sometimes even save lives. Now, our mission is to turn awareness into action, helping you and your family stay informed, prepared, and safer every day. Now, this month, we want to celebrate International Women's Day by spotlighting amazing women who are changing the course of the world with their actions, their thoughts, and their hopes for a better future. And in addition to International Women's Month, it's also Rare Disease Month and American Heart Month, a time dedicated to raising awareness about cardiovascular disease. So today, we're going to be hitting on all of these topics with our guest. Now, I'm thrilled to introduce Maria Alexandria Cetățoiu, an international woman who has an amazing story. She's the founder of CC Cardio, a medtech startup, and has invented a medical device to help the world by improving outcomes for patients with complex congenital heart disease. Now, I recently met her at a Swiss Next event in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where she spoke to the group about her life's work. Now, interestingly, about 5 out of every 100,000 babies are born with a rare heart condition, where only one of the heart's two main pumping chambers developed properly. Now, this means that one chamber has to do the work of pumping the blood to both the lungs and the rest of the body, which makes the heart work much harder than normal. And babies born with this condition usually need several major surgeries early in life and ongoing medical care as they grow. And even with treatment, many people with this condition face lifelong health challenges. And this is where Maria Alexandria has made it her mission to help improve outcomes for individuals with this type of childhood heart disease. Now, she founded the Swiss startup CC Cardio, and the product is the Uniflow. And Maria is a PhD candidate in bioengineering at the Politecnico di Milano and a visiting researcher at Boston Children's Hospital. Welcome, Maria. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're so welcome. It's fabulous to have you. And you're tuning in all the way from, are you in Switzerland?
Lugano. Yes.
Lugano right now. Now, I spent over 6 years living in Milan. I loved it. I went to Lugano so many times, and you're so lucky to be where you are. But
thank you so much. No, I remember you were telling me about your time in Milan.
That's so amazing. Now, I have a question for you. What challenges did you face growing up that shaped who you are today?
That's a very good question. I actually think my childhood was, I would say, quote unquote, normal. My parents did a very good job in making sure that I lived as much of a normal childhood as possible without really realizing that I had any sort of disease. I think for the longest time, I sort of have this notion that I was born with a heart defect. It got fixed when I was a baby, and it was, I guess, nothing more than a fun fact and an icebreaker. The challenge really started when I transitioned into adult care, and that's when I realized that actually it was an ongoing issue, and it wasn't just, oh, there was an issue, it got fixed, and now everything is fine. So I think the main challenge was really the realizing that it was an ongoing challenge and an ongoing diagnosis.
And what exactly was your diagnosis?
Yes, so I was born with a double outward right ventricle, which basically means that both of the main arteries come out of the same ventricle. So even though there's two, they sort of mix on the outlet. And the valve that goes into them fused into one. So there's two ventricles that act as one with blood mixing.
Right. So thanks for explaining that, because sometimes when people are unfamiliar with congenital heart disease, it's hard to kind of visualize that. But thank you so much for sharing that with us. What are some of the biggest gaps in current treatment options that still need solving?
So I think a lot of complex congenital heart diseases have sort of found treatment recently. The Fontan palliation was invented by Dr. Fontan in the 70s. So it hasn't been around for very long, although it has been improved, and today's Fontaines have a lot better outcomes than the first ones. The medical community is sort of learning as it goes. These patients are getting older, they're starting to have different symptoms, and so it's sort of an ongoing process as this population ages. There's a quote actually from a book called The Open Heart Club, written by, I believe, Gabriel Brownstein, who is a tetralogy of Fallot patient. And he wrote this amazing book sort of outlining his experience, but also the history of congenital heart disease. And there was one quote, I'm paraphrasing it, but it was something like he felt like he was living on the cusp of medical innovation. So when he started to have issues with his pulmonary valve, that's when, transcatheter interventions became sort of mainstream. And so he managed to stay on top of this innovation, but it never felt like he knew what the next step would be. And so I think the challenge is really just the unknown and the learning as things happen.
Right. And it's developing so rapidly. It's amazing to see the differences of what has taken place over the last 10 years. And
Yeah.
really, as we look into the future, it's just amazing. Now, behind every single startup is a story. And so, what's the heart behind your decision to launch the Swiss startup CC Cardio?
Yes, definitely. So as a Fontan patient myself, going back into the book, I've always felt like everyone would tell me, oh, don't worry about it. At some point, there will be an innovation. At some point, there will be a pump for this. And then that point never came. So as my PhD was coming to an end, I sort of decided to listen to my mom, who always says, if you want to do something, do it yourself. And so I found an amazing team and I was like, okay, we are going to try to do this since it doesn't seem like it's coming anytime soon.
Wow, that's amazing to really be inspired from being a patient all the way to the innovator. Now, in simple language, how does this Uniflow mimic the function of a missing ventricle?
Yes, so it augments the flow. So in a Fontan system, there is, like you perfectly described it, just one ventricle that pumps as the left ventricle would. And so it pumps oxygenated blood to the body versus the right side of the heart, which is the one that pumps deoxygenated blood back to the lungs. That role is taken by a plastic tube that can be external or internal to the heart. And while this innovation has truly saved many people, the plastic tube doesn't have the capability of pulsating like a native ventricle would. And so what our device does, it's simply bringing back that pulsation and assisting the flow, giving it that extra push that it needs, that is at the root of all of the circulatory issues.
Wow, that's amazing. That's just so amazing. How could this technology change the life expectancy and quality of life of the patients?
Yes, definitely. I mean, right now, life expectancy, I think it's a very challenging topic for a lot of Fontan patients. It goes into the unknown of not knowing what the future looks like. And so I think it would sort of revolutionize the way these patients are taken care of. Right now, the options are complex multi-organ transplantation, usually being heart liver, sometimes heart and lung transplants, or there's external pumps that are very bulky. And although they are great devices, they're not specifically made for Fontan circulations. And so having a device that is made exactly for this, I think would increase life expectancy, but also immensely affect quality of life of these patients.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, what message would you want to send families who may have just received a diagnosis like yours?
That's a very good question. Actually, so my mom didn't know, she didn't have any prenatal diagnosis. So my condition was sort of a surprise for her. I was born in Romania back in the 90s, and at the time there was really no infrastructure that could fix my heart. And so when I was born, they told her there was something really wrong with my heart and that I probably wouldn't make it more than 2 days, but that she was young and could have other children. And I don't think I could ever fully understand how difficult that moment was for her. But despite all of these difficult moments, there are plenty of Fontan patients out there in the world doing, living their normal lives, doing the things they're passionate about. And so amongst all of this difficult time, there is hope, and it's not necessarily, the end of a journey receiving this diagnosis.
Oh, wow. That's such a meaningful perspective. And I know that's going to help so many people out there when and if they're ever faced with a situation like that, is knowing that there's hope and there's people working on it, trying to help them. I just marvel at all that you're doing. Now, I want to know, how can the public, the investors, or the medical community support you in your mission?
It is a team effort, truly. Everything in medicine is, I think, a very collaborative team effort, sort of like in sports. There's nothing that a single person could do on their own. And so even with our device, the journey is very long and we're still perfecting all the different components. And so any sort of expertise really is very welcome in this journey. So if anyone ever, collaboration would like to reach out, I don't know, just be interested, I think.
And for investors, is there a place that you're allowing investors to get in on this device early on?
Definitely. We're validating all of our different parts right now and moving into animal studies or approaching animal studies. Any opportunity to expand our team, like I said, any skill that's sort of missing would allow us to really speed up the process.
Right.
And so, yes, we welcome all sort of collaborations
And perhaps donations towards
and
you?
donation
Okay,
for
perfect.
sure.
Yeah, that would be great
Yes.
if you got some more donations, because I know it's an expensive endeavor being a
It's also
startup.
very long. I
Yeah,
think a lot of traditional investors tend to not like the medtech world just because of the very long timelines. And so usually you have to have those conversations with people that specifically deal in the medtech world.
right.
But yes, it is a long journey, but
Yeah, it is. Well,
an
as a
important one.
researcher at the Politecnico di Milano and a visiting scientist at the Boston Children's Hospitals, uh, what obstacles did you overcome getting into this field and entering?
So I finishing my PhD in biomedical engineering. Before this, I actually studied medical sciences and I went into my academic career thinking I would be a cardiologist. I was a very traditional pre-med student and I thought I would, specialize and become a cardiologist. And then at some point along the way, I sort of got introduced to the world of devices and all the innovations that are sort of happening behind the scenes of hospitals. And I completely fell in love with it. But now I'm sort of at a middle gap where I'm not really a physician and I'm not really an engineer. And so I'm sort of trying to bring multiple knowledges from all of this, or maybe I'm a little bit of both. So I think the challenge, but also the privilege has been being able to see the picture of both fields and combine them into a middle ground. But I do sometimes get in discussions of, oh, this is more of a hard engineer topic, or this is more of a hard medical topic, where I'm sort of in the gray space between.
Right. So you're a serious collaborator, bringing both sides together, it sounds.
Pretty much, yes.
And what advice would you give young women pursuing STEM and medical innovations?
We need more. I think they definitely should. And I think women have such a valuable perspective on things. In things like STEM, engineering, and medicine, we need as many as possible. And so I would encourage every single woman who's just curious about science or engineering to just go beyond all the roadblocks or whatever they may hear and just completely go for it because we definitely need all of their perspectives and all of their combined experiences.
Isn't that true? I love that. Yeah, we need more women in STEM. It's just so much better for the field.
I agree.
Now, if you could speak to your younger self, the child facing surgeries and uncertainty, what would you say?
Yeah, so I've actually thought about this question a lot. I don't, so to me, I think I was so young that I don't actually remember any of my surgeries. And like I said, this sort of helped me growing up in the sense that it was kind of just a story in my mind. And the real challenges started when I was an adolescent. And, big scary words like transplant were said to me that I hadn't really thought of before. And, I had the surprise of, oh, what do you mean a transplant? I need and so, yeah. But I truly think that all the challenges that I faced and all these scary moments and anxieties were completely necessary for me to be where I am today. So I wouldn't necessarily talk to myself or say anything because I think all those difficult moments really kind of broke me and rebuilt me in who I am today. But if I could go back, I think I would talk to my mom, back in the 90s, like I said, that young woman who just heard this incredible diagnosis, had the rug pulled from under her. So I think I would definitely go back. I don't know what I would say. I'd probably just, I don't know, give her a hug, tell her everything will be okay. But
Oh,
yes,
you,
I would go talk to her.
that's incredibly powerful, and it shows such empathy and thinking of the all the parents out there that are having to face this with a newborn. It's so true. I just love that you're sharing that part of your story. It just means so much to me, and I know it's going to touch so many people around the world by hearing that. We're getting towards the end of our program today, but do you have any last words that you'd like to
Um,
share?
I think since we've gone into this topic of talking about parents, I think a lot of the spotlight goes on the patients, which is completely fair and completely valid because it's a complex story and a complex set of experiences to go through. Um, but I do think that the parents are very much the heroes behind all of it, who are going through all these challenges. And I think it's important to also recognize, their bravery as well and their support. Because in childhood, I think my mom took a lot of, like, for me to have a normal childhood, it meant that she had a lot of anxiety and all the things that she sort of had to carry on without showing them. So I think it's important to acknowledge the parents as well.
I just love that. Now, is there any website that an investor or others can visit to learn more about you and your mission and how to donate or how to get involved? Is there a website?
Definitely. Our website is cccardio.ch. Very simple. CH being Switzerland. And yes, we always welcome people reaching out.
Oh, wonderful. I'll make sure that I add that in the description for the podcast today. And that's wonderful. So everybody can reach out to you if they want to get involved, they want to donate, they want to invest. That will be perfect. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this special International Women's Day conversation. Today's story reminds us that when women are empowered, the entire communities grow strong. And whether you're leading in your workplace, caring for your family, building a dream, or finding your voice, your impact matters more than you may realize. And keep moving forward with courage and purpose. Now, together, we're not just celebrating women, but we're shaping the future. Happy, happy International Women's Day. And until the next time, stay empowered, stay connected, and keep making a difference. And we'll be back for another episode to increase public awareness about topics faced by people in their daily lives, whether traveling around the corner or the world. And be sure to visit globalsecureresources.com and globalsecurestudent.com for more information about our community awareness and prevention programs. And don't forget to hit that follow button.